I've been looking forward to this moment. We now have the official FAQ for battle styles. I know there's been some questions about the new Pokemon archetypes, Single Strike and Rapid Strike. In the new battle style set, we have Single Strike and Rapid Strike Pokemon, as well as some interesting new abilities. This has brought along with it some questions as to just what Single and Rapid Strike are. All of those new Pokemon have a banner on them indicating which type they are. But two of those, Single Strike URSHIFU and Rapid Strike URSHIFU, have those types in their name as well. And this has led to some questions about whether or not they have the same name, which matters because if Rapid Strike or Single Strike are part of the name, then you can have 4 of each. If it's just a subtitle, like Lysander in the new boss's orders, then no, you can't have more. For example, you can't have 4 boss's orders Giovanni and 4 boss's orders Lysander. So, what about URSHIFU? Well, the answer is that yes, the terms Rapid Strike and Single Strike are part of the card name, which means each is considered a separate Pokemon. You can have 4 of each in your deck. This is quite similar to some other cards, say like Detective Pikachu and Special Delivery Pikachu. Of course you can have 4 of each of those in your deck. But it also means you cannot evolve a Rapid Strike URSHIFU V into a Single Strike URSHIFU VMAX. A Single Strike URSHIFU VMAX can only evolve from a Single Strike URSHIFU V. While I'm on this topic, I should mention that the cards Rapid Strike Style Mustard and Single Strike Style Mustard work the same way. You could, if you wanted to, have 4 of each in your deck. So we answered that question. Now let's talk about abilities. One card that has an interesting new ability is Mimikyu V. Dummy Doll says, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may prevent all damage done to this Mimikyu V by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this brings up a few questions, such as if I play this card on my bench and maybe use a switch to make it active, or otherwise make it active, does it keep the protective effect? And the answer is yes. But what if your opponent uses a card, such as a boss's orders, to move that card off the bench? Does it keep its ability then? Again, the answer is yes. It's not like when you lose an attack effect, when you go from the active position back to the bench, and then bring the Pokemon back to the active position. In those cases, we generally treat bringing a Pokemon from the bench to the active as a new Pokemon. But this is not an attack effect, so it doesn't reset. Mimikyu V keeps its protective effect since it comes from an ability and not an attack. This is something to keep in mind. Generally speaking, going to the bench will reset effects from attacks, but not effects from abilities. This is why you can't use Kricketune V's Exciting Stage ability in the active spot, retreat it, and use it again. You can only use the Kricketune ability once. This comes as no surprise to those who've been playing the game a while. A few other rulings came out, such as with attacks from Cacturne and Tapu Bulu, which can switch your opponent's active Pokemon. The question seems to be who gets to choose which Pokemon your opponent makes active. But I'm not going to review these answers in depth, as I think the answers are fairly obvious. Like with similar cards in the past, if it says switch one of your opponent's Pokemon, you get to choose. If it says your opponent switches, then of course they get to choose. But those aren't our only rulings. We have others. This too, I think, is fairly obvious. But in case there was any doubt, Kingdra's Deep Sea King ability will save any water energy attached to a knocked out active Pokemon, but only if that energy remains attached after the effects of the attack's resolve. So if your opponent's attack would remove an energy card and knocks out your active Pokemon, you can't save those energies, they go to the discard pile. Now there are a few rulings that might be a little less obvious. One of those involves Licky's SELICKT attack. This attack says that your opponent can choose to discard the top 3 cards of their deck, or they can discard 3 from their hand. So the question is, can they choose to discard from their hand if they have less than 3 cards? The wording might be a little ambiguous, but the answer is yes, as long as they have at least 1 to discard. Oh, in that case, for example, if they had only a single card in their hand, they would discard only that card. They don't have to discard another 2 from their deck. I think the word "or" makes that fairly obvious, but I just wanted to be clear. Before I go, I wanted to say thanks to the people over at Pokegym for providing these official rulings. And yes, they are official rulings. I hope it was helpful. If you're going to play the game, then you certainly need to know these rulings. For now, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time. If you have any more questions about the upcoming set, appreciated this video or learned something from it, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. Helping this channel grow will allow me to continue bringing you great informative content like this. Again, my name is Wes Upchurch. Thanks for watching Team Triforce TCG. Have a good night.
Metapod.